Let's talk about the 49ers, though, because we mentioned this last week about Jimmy Garoppolo sort of making us wait for Trey Lance. And fantasy-wise, he wasn't spectacular on Monday night, just about 15 and some change. They didn't really need him because they ran the ball so effectively. But at this point, it feels like Jimmy Garoppolo is a long ways away from getting benched, right? He is doing enough and is playing well enough that he's going to stay on the field. So since he's going to be on the field, do we need to think about starting him in right matchups?
I think so, and that's what this week is. Like, it's a favorable matchup against the Jags. The only concern I have is, like, is it going to be similar to last week where they get a little lead and then they just run the ball the entire second half? But last week I was, like, speculating that if the Niners lost to the Rams, maybe they turn to Trey Lance. They are definitely not going to be doing that right now. At 4-5, they're a half a game out of the 7th seed and a game out of the 6th seed. So they're very much still in this race. I don't know when we see Trey Lance at this point, but I know that it's not coming anytime soon. This is Jimmy G's team still, and yeah, I think he's a streamable option this week and in favorable matchups.
The thing that is helping the 49ers is hurting fantasy managers in that, as you mentioned, they are half a game out of the last playoff spot. They are a game out of the 6th seed in the NFC. So the fact that the NFC is sort of top-heavy with a whole bunch of middling teams kind of hanging around, that's good for San Francisco. That means they're still in this race, and they don't have to maybe make a whole lot of changes. We want changes. We want Trey Lance, and that's not happening anytime soon. So I do think, I think at this point, let's just chalk it up, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a matchup-based quarterback. Over the last month, he is the QB7, and he is available in about 90% of NFL.com leagues. So, especially if you're in a 2 QB league, a Superflex league, he should definitely be on rosters. And I don't know, does this mean, are we dropping Trey Lance now? Like, what do we do with Trey Lance?
I've been holding Trey Lance all year in just a 10-team, 2-quarterback league, and I dropped him this past week because I was like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I don't anticipate it coming, especially if the Niners win this week against the Jags like we're expecting them to. Like, they are 100% right back in the race then, and so I dropped him there. The only spot I'm holding him is in a Superflex keeper league because I'm thinking like someone might trade me for him, but besides that, in just regular seasonal leagues, I think you can drop Trey Lance.
I think especially as you're starting to make a playoff push, like that roster spot becomes valuable, and it just doesn't make sense to hold it for a guy that doesn't look like he's getting on the field anytime soon. Speaking of getting back on the field, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is expected to be back this week for the Kansas City Chiefs. They got a huge game against the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But in his absence, Darrell Williams has stepped in and played well. We've seen Derek Gore step in and do things. So if CEH is back, what do we do about this Chiefs backfield?
It's not great at all right now. I think it's better, honestly, when CH was out because then we knew at least the bulk of the work was going to Darrell Williams. I think right now it's a big question mark because what I'm anticipating at least is a lot of CEH on the ground with Darrell Williams getting the bulk of targets, which is not what we thought when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We were like, this guy is going to unlock the Chiefs passing game, and it's actually been Darrell Williams. I mean, we saw that catch that Darrell Williams made in the end zone the other day. So I think as of right now, CH is like an RB2, maybe even a flex option, but I think Darrell Williams is as well until we get clarity because Williams, when they were both healthy, was also getting the work near the goal line. So I'm not ready to say yet that he can just fully be benched.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely holding on to Darrell Williams. I guess I would probably play him as a flex depending on my situation of what it is. I'm just very curious as to how this is going to work out. Because I think even before the injury, I think the Chiefs sort of were feeling like maybe they need to kind of give CEH some help or rest him a little bit because he was fine. He wasn't great. So I do think there's going to be a role for Darrell Williams. I'm curious as to what that is, how big it's going to be. And so, like, don't drop him. Don't give up on him just yet. But, to take a wait-and-see attitude.
Do you think there's a chance that Williams could be the lead back now, even with CH back?
I feel it's going to be like a 1-1A sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where I don't know that we have a clear definition of who the lead back is.
Which is awful for
That's
fantasy.
the worst, actually.
Yeah.
Like, that's even worse. Like, just give us a 1 and a 2, but I don't think that they're going to do that. So this is going to be a big week, I think, to kind of figure out how things are going to go in that offense. Staying in the division, Darren Waller, a guy that a lot of us, myself included, spent up in drafts to go get. I mean, he was a second-round, third-round pick in a whole lot of drafts, and to this point has been pretty underwhelming right now. I mean, he is a top 10 tight end. He's actually, is hanging around there, but it's not pretty. In the last few weeks especially have not been pretty. He is your tight end 7 right now. How worried are we about a guy, though, who hasn't scored a touchdown since week 4?
I'm starting to get pretty worried about him. Not in the sense where, like, you're dropping him or even benching him, because he's still giving you pretty much double-digit fantasy points each week, and that is enough to make him a tight end 1. Plus, we know the upside that he brings. Like, we saw it in week 1 where he had nearly 27 fantasy points. But week 1 and week 9 are the only games this year where he has more than 8 targets in a game. To me, it feels like defenses are like, okay, we know this is their one big piece that we have to defend. Like, there was a play against the Chiefs this past week where they had 3 defenders on him. And to me, it feels like the Raiders are content being like, okay, he's going to draw all the defensive attention, and we're just going to give the ball to, like, Hunter Renfrow, instead of being like, hey, let's design plays to get Darren Waller open and in space. So that is kind of frustrating, but I still think, yes, he's not living up to the price we paid on draft day, and I was super high on Darren Waller coming into the year, but you're still starting him. I don't think you're dropping him or anything like that.
I mean, that's the thing. You're still starting him because the rest of the tight end, you're not going to find options with a higher ceiling than Darren Waller out there on the waiver wire. But the Raiders are spreading the ball around more. I mean, I think when they changed play callers after they lost John Gruden and Greg Olsen took over the play calling, you've seen more people get involved in this offense, right? We have seen more Hunter Renfrow. We have seen a lot more of Kenyon Drake involved in this offense. And so they're finding other options. As you mentioned also, defenses are sort of scheming to take Waller away. And I don't remember who I saw tweet this, and so I apologize for that. But what we're getting out of Darren Waller this year is sort of what a lot of people, myself included, thought we would see from him last year, right? 2 years ago, he had the big breakout year, and a lot of us were like, okay, well, touchdown regression is going to hit. He can't keep this up. And then last year, he did it again, and so we're like, oh, so maybe this is just how it is with Darren Waller. And then we're learning that this year that's not just how it is with Darren Waller. They're finding other ways to move the football. So I'm very concerned, but I'm also with you. I'm not starting him.
It's just another year where Travis Kelce. This is going to be the 6th straight year where Travis Kelce's the tight end 1.
And even Travis Kelce isn't having the kind of Travis Kelce year that we anticipated.
But at some point, we just got to be like, this is the greatest fantasy tight end ever.
I mean, maybe he is. He's knocking on the door of Gronk, man, for that title. Kyle Pitts, he might be coming. He might be what's next.